Go. Welcome back, everyone, to the Fika Brunch Business podcast. I am your host, Ivo, and I'm here with my co-host,
Tia. Welcome back, everyone.
Yeah, welcome back. Tell us what we've got in stock.
It's going to be another great episode. We're going to do part 2, basically, of what we did last week. And this time, Ivo's in the hot seat, and I'm going to interview him.
And we're back in our
OG
studio location.
Yeah, no third wheel of the statue today.
We took a bit of a road trip last week, but we're back in it.
Yeah, we might mix it up in future again.
Yeah, nice.
Watch the space.
Watch the space.
Ivo in the hot seat. We're going to get straight to it. We're going to learn a lot about Ivo in this episode.
Can't wait.
Let's go.
Wait to learn about myself.
I've got some questions for you, Ivo. Hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
I've been wanting to meet you for a long time now.
Yeah, a lot of people have.
I'm really honoured that you came on this podcast. And
no worries, there's nowhere else I'd rather be.
Going to talk us through some of your experiences. I'm going to start with a bit of a rogue question.
Go on.
Fairly recently, you went on a bit of a once-in-a-lifetime trip. I kind of want you to tell us a bit about that. Where you went, tell the fans. I know. Yeah. Well, actually, I don't know because I'm interviewing you.
Yeah.
And tell us what your key takeaways from that trip were and what you learnt about yourself as a businessman, as a human. Yeah, just tell us what you came back feeling from that trip.
So I feel like I've told a lot of souls about this trip that I've been on.
Not people, souls.
A lot of souls. And I don't want to be that guy that goes on a trip and then comes back and then it's like, guys, you wouldn't believe where I went traveling and the kids there are so happy, but no one's got, people that go on a gap year.
Did you find yourself?
I found myself and no, so I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
But recently I went on a trip. It was a hiking trip. We did something called the Mont Blanc Trail. It is a trail in that part of the world. It tours Switzerland, Italy, and France, and you spend a couple of days in each. I think it's 11 stages. We completed it in 7 days, about 170 kilometers, and 10 kilometers of elevation up and down throughout the course of your journey. So that's the technical bits of it. The kind of how I found it, it was firstly I went with a couple of friends. One of them was someone that I'd been hiking with before, and I said I really want to do something challenging this summer, and he said to me, well, me and my friend are going on this trip, come and join us. And I kind of had an idea in my mind of what to expect. Firstly, I've never done anything like this. I think I might have camped once for a day in my life before, but this was like everyday camping. I think you were supposed to bring your own food as well, which I didn't realise. So.
Ivo thought there'd be a Waitrose every couple of kilometres, a little Waitrose he could buy himself.
A little Waitrose, then occasionally there's like a bigger supermarket. Maybe you get like a big Tesco.
Yeah. Quick shock to the system there.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was one of those where it's mostly just mountains, and you're mostly just walking and climbing these mountains for the majority of the trip. But you do stop through a few towns and you stop through a few shops. But I think there was one, like a few of the stages where you don't come across a shop for like 2 days. So you've got to be prepared.
Tragic if you haven't brought your own food.
Yeah, you've got to be more prepared than I was. Definitely. Anyway, yeah. So I kind of went in. The 170 kilometer thing registered with me. So I was like, 170 kilometers, about 25-26k a day doesn't seem that crazy. The bit that I didn't really appreciate was the 10k up and down. So to put it into context for anyone who's listening, I think when you climb Snowdon, I think the elevation there is I think it's like 1100 above sea level, but you only climb about 700 to 800. I think it's something like that. And so imagine climbing Snowdon and then coming down once a day. You're basically doing that twice a day, every day, with a 15 kilo backpack on. which again doesn't sound that crazy, but for me the main problem was I've never had knee problems before, but by day 2 my knees were completely destroyed. Completely destroyed, and then the whole thing from then on just became about survival. Can I make it through without sounding too?
Okay, Bear Grylls.
Okay. I'm not going to sound too dramatic on it, but yeah, basically I went in not having done anything like this before, and it was a lot more challenging than
you were fairly
I
blasé
expected.
about it. I
was, yeah. I didn't
It's
have
a very you trait.
yeah, it is a very me trait. I think I had a bit of a stressful time a couple of days before because I didn't have any of the gear yet. I didn't have a tent. I didn't have anything. So I was like, I'll go into this shop
the
and I'll
most
just
Evo thing ever.
yeah. Because also I don't like to do super
Overthink
loads of
and-
research
yeah.
into all of this kind of stuff. But I was like, I'm gonna have to do it because I'm gonna turn up and I'm gonna have nowhere to sleep, and that's not gonna be ideal. So to be fair, I went to this place and I just said, I'm doing this trail. Please, can you tell me everything that I need? And they kitted me out with everything.
Nice.
To be fair, which was great. But yeah, so in general, was not super prepared for it. Was not super prepared for like what to be expecting. Was really like day 2 or 3, my knees were in bad shape, and there was still like 4 more days to go. But I think that brings us into the first lesson, which I've shared with anyone who's asked. But yeah, so your question was, what did that teach you about? What did that teach you about? What was the question? What did it
About
teach you
yourself. What were your biggest takeaways?
So before, I've had a lot of injuries before, as you well know. And usually the way that I deal with my injuries is like, I take a break, don't do anything to aggravate it, all of that. And this time, and it's put me off of doing a lot of stuff in the past.
Yeah.
And this time I was like, no, I'm not gonna do
Not
that.
involved.
I'm gonna carry on until I physically can't walk.
Fair play.
I'm gonna see how far it can take me. So that's what I did. On day 3, I woke up. So the first 3 days we walked the most, climbed the most, and on I think it was day 4, I woke up and I said to one of the other guys, like, I think I'm gonna call it, because that whole night I couldn't sleep because both my knees were fucked. I was just in pain. And he was like, well, if you finish this day, then you've only got, I think it was something like 53 kilometers to go. I was like, oh, okay, 53 kilometers, okay. And that day was like 35k or something wild. I was like, do you know what? I'm just gonna see how it goes this day. And there's nothing more to the story really. I went that day, finished it,
grinding.
went the next day. The next day was supposed to be a rest day. It turned out we were climbing some cliffs.
I didn't know
There was
that
even
part.
worse, and there was snow, and there was like all sorts of stuff. So yeah, but then after I'd done that day, and then I was like, just move on to the previous day, and then before you know it, it was the last day. So yeah, I think my main takeaway, there's a saying, I think it comes from the army, that when you think you're fucked, you're only about 40% fucked. And I think that was definitely the
Showed
case
you
for me
that.
on this trip.
Yeah.
Because day 4, I was like, there's no way I can do this. And but yeah, I just took it day by day and managed to do it.
So displaying resilience there, and like putting your mind to it and just being like, I think also a big part of that is taking it day by day, because if you apply it to a real world context, because often we look at something and it feels quite overwhelming.
Yeah,
but if you break it down and it's just a day by day, hour by hour thing, and just see how you go and set yourself the goal of just making it through. Yeah. And then, like you said, by the time you knew it, there was no point of like not finishing it, because you're basically done. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a good point, that sometimes the whole task can seem very daunting. But if you just say, okay, I'm just going to do this little bit. Yeah. Break it down. See how I feel after. Yeah. And that was very true on there. And then the other thing, which kind of relates to that point, we had this rule of, well, it wasn't really a rule, it was like what we would try and strive for every day, is 10 before 10. So trying to do 10 kilometers before 10 a.m. So waking up as early as possible, get the first 10 kilometers out of the way,
And then by 10 a.m., if you're already nearly halfway there, and you've got a good start, and you've got good momentum for the day.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's something good for daily life. If you try and get up and do your first eat the frog. I've never heard of that.
Have you not?
No.
Eat the frog. The fans all know what that means.
Okay.
Yeah, so they say you should eat the
lads.
frog, do the worst thing about your day first, or like get your day. So like, if you really struggle to go to the gym, get up, get it done first thing. You've eaten the frog, it's done. You don't need to think about it for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do your most challenging
And there was
task.
only one day where we didn't do the 10 before 10, or didn't aim to do the 10 before 10, and it was our worst day. So
There you go.
yeah,
Should have eaten the frog.
should have eaten the frog.
Nice. Okay. What is one thing that you think everyone should experience in their lifetime? And this can be also something that you've not experienced yet.
That I've not experienced.
Yeah, I mean, it can be something that you have experienced, or it can be something that you haven't, but you think that everyone should. Wherever your mind goes.
Yeah. True love. No, it's not. That's not. That's not my actual answer.
No, definitely not.
Um.
Not as in definitely not. People shouldn't experience that, but you would. Not coming from you.
Yeah. That's a very, very good question.
Would you like me to come back to that one?
Do you know? No. Do you know what I wanna say something which I've not experienced yet, but it's something that I would really like to experience, and I think every guy especially should have this as their goal in life. I don't know if it's the same for girls. You tell me.
Okay.
But I think every guy should have as a goal in life to help their mother retire.
Aw, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Something that I'm working towards, and something that I hope I'll be able to do. Paulina, if you're listening, shout out to you.
Shout out.
But yeah, I think it would be a very nice feeling to know that you've worked hard to help, the person that's worked hard to raise you to.
I think that's a
retire.
very. I would say, I think that is a very guy thing. I think there's that dynamic of like between a mother and a son.
Yeah.
And I think between a mother and a daughter, it's just a different dynamic. You get different things. I think that's maybe more of like a caring and a nurturing thing for your mother as they get older.
Yeah.
Whereas what you're saying, I think, is almost more of a like financial thing.
Yes, exactly.
So I think
That's
what
right.
the male, I love preferring
The males and the females.
what like men bring to their mothers is more of a practical financial thing, whereas what women bring to their mothers is more of a caring, nurturing, almost like flipping the role a little bit as they get older.
That's right. I think it's to me that would feel like one of the most rewarding experiences, like more rewarding than anything I could buy or anything I could achieve. I think that feels very rewarding.
Real family man, aren't you?
I'll let you guys know when it happens. But yeah,
that's a good answer.
Yeah,
well
thank
done.
you. Appreciate it.
Okay, I'm going to spice it up. Has there ever been a business decision that you've made that you've either regretted or you look back on and think, I wish I'd done that differently?
No.
Nothing.
Not a single one. And I say not a single one. If something had come to my mind, I would have said it, but nothing comes to mind. And I think the reason nothing comes to mind is every decision I've made at the time has, in my mind, been the right decision. There is one moment that came to mind, and I used to write articles, by the way. Everyone should have a read of the articles. I wrote an article about this particular one, and I think the article was called like 6 or 8 qualities of inspiring leaders, or something like that. I used to be part of this social enterprise group at university called Enactus, and the idea is that you have a load of projects which are kind of like socially motivated projects, and each project has their project manager, and then you've got like the committee of the whole society. So you have like the people that lead the society, and then you've got the individual project managers. And in my first year of doing that, I was a project manager, and then the next year I was president of the society. And then as president of the society, I kind of took a step back from all the projects, let everyone else lead them, and then and it didn't really go as well. And so I wrote this article talking about how what I should have done is done one of the projects and set an example for the other project managers. So I think that is the closest to something that I think is a decision that I made that I could have done differently. That is the first thing that springs to mind, and it's interesting that was so long ago. But yeah, that taught me a lesson of like actually being in the trenches and leading from the trenches in a way. But yeah, other than that, every decision I've made, even if it's not turned out, has given me more information, more knowledge, more clarity.
Yeah.
You know, even if at the time it was a bad decision.
Yeah.
And with anything I do, I'll never really bet the farm on everything. So I'm not really. I used to be really into startups when I was in my uni days, and I was all about the startups, and I'm all about these guys that come in and they have their startup idea, and they try and make it happen, and it's either 0 or 1,000. And I think as I've progressed in my journey through business, I kind of don't like that model anymore for myself.
Yeah.
I like the idea of like building slowly, block by block. And having a firm foundation and just building on top of that, rather than trying to go for the moonshot every time. Yeah. So yeah, with every decision I make, as long as it's not a decision that puts us out of business, there's almost no way that it can be a bad decision. Yeah. Learn something from the end of it.
I think that's a good way of looking at it, because you're never going to get it right 100% of the time. But like you say, every decision that you make, especially when you reach a level of like self-awareness and intelligence and like acumen, every decision you make is made with the best tools that you have at that time. If 5 years later you have better tools and a better understanding and better knowledge, of course you might make a different decision, but that doesn't mean that decision was wrong. Or even if it was wrong, it doesn't mean that you should have made a different one, because you did the best that you could at the time.
Exactly.
And you saw things in a certain way. That decision fit best at that time. Yeah. So, yeah.
Exactly like that. There's in
you can't
business,
spend your life just going, because also if you don't make the wrong decisions, if you don't make the mistakes, you don't then learn from it.
Hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah, and like what you said about Enactus. Yeah. If that hadn't happened with Enactus, it might have happened on a much bigger scale to much more detriment now with Fika. Yeah. And you could have had a lot bigger consequences, but you made that decision.
And I'd already learned that lesson.
And you learned that lesson, exactly.
Yeah. There is a personal decision that I regret, which was going to university. Just what a waste of time.
We've done a whole episode on the education system.
But yeah, in terms of like a specifically business decision that I've made, there's nothing that springs out that I'm like, wish I hadn't done it like that.
Yeah. Nice. Lovely. Okay. What drives you? Because I feel like anyone who has spent any time with you or knows you on a more personal level would agree that you're very driven, you're very ambitious. You have this quality that's almost like you're going to be successful one day. Yeah. Without a doubt. What pushes you?
I feel like this is a great question, because I think this is a part where a lot of people misunderstand me. And I think a lot of people, I mean, I don't know, this is my take on the situation. I think a lot of people would think I'm very motivated by money. And actually, and I think you probably know that I'm probably the least motivated by money person that I know. And I only go that route as a means to get things done, rather than because I'm interested in the end result of that.
And it's an easy measure.
It's the
easiest measure probably out there.
If you're a sprinter, you go and do the 100 meters and you get a time at the end of it. If you're an entrepreneur, you can't call yourself a good entrepreneur if you've not made any money.
Yeah, True.
So
Facts.
it's a way of keeping
Controversial,
score.
Yeah.
And it's a way to progress further and further on into the game.
Yeah.
Like if you're a sprinter but your 100-meter time is 25 seconds, you're not going to make it to the Olympics, are you?
Yeah.
And,
Not looking good for you.
Again, it's the same with entrepreneurship. If you're the greatest entrepreneur of all time, but you've made £20, there's probably only so far you can get in the game.
Yeah.
So what actually motivates me? There was a story my uncle told me once about my granddad. Our granddad, funny enough. I know this is only our first ever interview, but he is also your granddad.
Whoa, plot twist.
And he told me about, that side of the family, they...
So this is our dad's side of the family.
Yeah, that generation, they... I don't want to get this wrong, but I think they grew up in a village. There wasn't a huge amount. I think it was communism at the time. There just wasn't a huge amount of opportunity. And my uncle told me the story about how my granddad used to get up. He was like 5 or 6 years old and used to get up and used to work and he used to take the cows out to this. 5 or 6 years old. Take the cows out to the pastures, and basically from that day on he was working. And even when he got older, got a job, every spare penny that they had, they would save and try and like progress forward. And then fast forwarding that a few generations, here I am, the product of my granddad's hard work, my dad's hard work, probably generations before that as well. And I'm just not going to fumble the bag. I'm not going to fumble the bag. I'm going to do my best to try and get myself in the best position in life that I can do, and make sure that those generations that are looking back look at me and think, it's good that we did all that work, because look how it's played out.
And those sacrifices that they made make them worthwhile.
If I was just sitting at home watching TV, not doing anything.
And we have, I would say that we have more opportunity now than any generation before us, particularly in Bulgaria.
Yeah.
Like we have been, so many doors have been opened for us through the sacrifices that previous generations from us have made
Our
for
ancestors.
us. Our ancestors. Yeah, through the sacrifices that our parents and grandparents and their parents and grandparents have made for us. Not specifically for us, but like for the generations ahead. And so many doors have been opened for us.
And I think
if you're just going to put your feet up and relax.
I think anyone who's watching this that say grown up in Stanford or was born and bred in Stanford probably won't really understand this point. But to come from a few generations ago, a village in communist Bulgaria, to get to the UK and have a really nice life. I mean, those two things are worlds apart, and it doesn't just happen. You don't just turn up here and do it.
No.
There's
a lot of sacrifice.
A lot of sacrifice.
Made for that.
Yeah. That people before me have made. So I feel like
better carry that on.
Yeah, I do feel like the baton has been passed on to me.
Yeah.
And I've just got to take it as far as I can before I pass it on, and that's what really drives me.
That's a really good answer.
Yeah,
Very good answer. So you're going to pass the baton on to your son?
My many sons. They'll collectively
an heir and a spare. Nice. Very good answer. Okay.
I have no sons yet, by the way, just in case.
That's me telling you. Okay. I'm going to bring it back. We're going to make it light-hearted again.
Go on.
What is your fave brunch dish that you've ever had? And where was it? And what made it so good? What made it stand out in your mind so much?
It was obviously the Fika Stam.
Oh.
No, it wasn't.
Classic.
Do you know what it was? Do I have to give an answer that's not Fika?
No.
Okay, I'm going to give one answer that is Fika because that is the best.
That is the truth.
That is the truth, and I'm not just saying this because
literally everywhere we go,
you find me, someone who's watching, find me a better brunch dish somewhere than something that we do here, and I'll pay very close attention.
Yeah.
To that,
Facts.
and I'll
Drop us a DM.
I'll reconsider my answer.
Yeah.
But until then,
if someone drops us a DM and tells us a better brunch place, we will go. We will vlog the entire experience and we'll rate it.
Yeah.
And if it's better than Fika, we'll be honest. We'll say this is better than Fika.
We are very honest.
But then we will come back and make Fika better. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Best brunch dish. So the one that actually comes to mind, I don't know if you remember this, and I don't know if it's a fair answer because I feel like my palate was not quite as refined back then as it is now. I don't know if I had that same dish now, whether it would have the same effect on me.
Okay.
But do you remember the chicken sandwich that Rory used to do?
Oh, that banged.
That was
so good.
Unreal. On that ciabatta.
Yeah.
And what did he have with it? Was the celeriac remoulade?
No, that was with the beef sandwich, which was also really good.
Yeah, so
Rory, if you could make like a little special, bring those back for one day and one day only, that would be great.
That was unreal. That was.
So
I remember having that chicken sandwich and thinking, how can it be this good?
So good.
How can it be this good?
Yeah, I remember that.
So I would say, in terms of like what comes to mind, I think that. I think on our current menu, I mean, I would say
Rory makes a really good chicken sandwich. I was just thinking, his chicken sandwich at the moment is also very good.
Yeah.
Shout out Rory and your chicken sandwiches.
On the current menu, again, I think my palate has changed a little bit, and what I like has changed a little bit. I definitely prefer going for simpler stuff nowadays.
Yeah.
So if you ever seen me at Fika, likelihood is I'm having an avo with eggs and salmon, or a Fika bowl,
or an avo with eggs, salmon, and chicken,
and then a French toast on the. No, I'm joking. But yeah, I'd probably be having something quite like not super indulgent.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's all kinds of good, like some of the specials that they do.
Some of the like pulled pork and
unreal. Some of those, if I'm feeling in a bit more of a
if it's the weekend,
if it's the Sunday, I've already done everything for that week. I've been to the gym, I've been for a swim, and I'm hungry. Then I'd go for something like that, like
nice.
Pulled. I don't even know, like pulled pork waffle and stuff like that. Yeah, incredible.
It's so good.
Burrito here that they sometimes do in Stanford, unreal. As for elsewhere, again, it's interesting because I struggle to be impressed by a particular dish. Usually when I'm impressed by something, it will be the place as a whole.
Yeah.
And if I'm impressed by the place as a whole, likelihood is I'll enjoy the dish.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm not impressed by the place, even if it's the best food ever, I might.
You'll be underwhelmed.
Yeah. It affects the whole sensory experience.
The holistic experience.
Yeah. Well, the one place that comes into mind is Juliet's in London. So I wouldn't say they do anything crazy there with the food.
their menu's fairly simple.
The menu is fairly simple, but I had something called the Young Betty, which is basically like eggs.
It's like eggs royale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With bacon.
Is it with bacon?
I had one with bacon. So they do one with
the eel one.
The eel one was really good as well.
Okay.
And the bacon one was really good.
Okay.
The bacon I think is I hope I'm not getting it confused with another place, but the bacon I think is espresso cured bacon.
Ooh.
No, it's espresso hollandaise and then maple cured bacon. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
So I had that. And then again, with that, it's such a simple dish.
Yeah.
But all the individual elements are just so interesting. Like the bread's perfect, the bacon is really good, the eggs are really good. He's really good at eggs. Yeah. And the espresso hollandaise.
Presentation's really good.
Presentation. It's just the whole experience is really nice.
Yeah, and the whole place is really cool.
That's the one that comes into.
That's good. Good answer. I'll accept that. I'll allow
Thank
that
you.
one. If you'd said something rogue, I would have been like, no. Cut that bit out.
Cut it out.
Okay.
What's your favourite? Just out of curiosity.
Here or in general?
In general.
Oh God, I mean I'm really bad on the spot, but I genuinely can't think of somewhere that I've eaten something that I've been like, that's Really good. Probably maybe somewhere in Bali.
Yeah.
I did have a French toast actually at a place in Bali called Milk and Madhu.
Okay.
Which
I don't think I've
was
ever been there.
Sensational.
Sensational.
It was very good. I do remember. I can't remember. It was kind of, I think it was stuffed French toast.
Okay.
And it was very good. So either that or I genuinely, Fika Avo, just, it slaps so hard.
It does.
I have it basically every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so good. It never fails. Fika Avo, smoked salmon or bacon if I'm feeling a bit crazy.
People might be thinking, people who don't eat at Fika, because obviously they'll be watching the podcast.
Yeah.
They might be thinking, how is it so special? All you do is put avo on toast.
No, incorrect.
And a lot of places do that. That is not how we do it.
The avo is seasoned to perfection.
Yeah.
The bread is toasted to perfection.
Yeah.
You get a little like salty tang from the feta, but it's not an aggressive amount of feta. It doesn't, overpower. Then you get the fresh tomatoes. I will say, controversial opinion, I prefer the dried tomatoes to the current ones. But I'm not mad at the current ones. But I prefer the dried ones. You get homemade hot sauce. The homemade hot sauce, I could just eat a part of that. It's so good.
It's so good. The
What
dukkha.
else? The dukkha. Little crunch. Stunning. It's
You know when they say the devil is in the detail?
Yeah, facts.
Anyone can do avo toast.
But you can't make a Fika Avo.
Anyone can make a coffee. Anyone can open a coffee shop. The devil is in the detail. There's the little things that you do that make it what it is.
Watch our Fika Avo sales go through the roof now. There'll be a queue out the door tomorrow as we go viral.
Can't wait. See you all tomorrow.
Okay. Oh, I like this question. Which area or areas of your life do you see being the most different or changing the most in the coming 5 years? You'll be raising your sons, obviously.
I'll be raising my 17 sons.
God, in 5 years. Fair play.
Yeah.
The maths isn't mathsing.
We won't go further down that route. What areas of my life? So not just specifically work-wise.
No, just what? Any areas?
I do expect to be working more.
Okay.
I would hope that my downtime is at a minimum, which is a rogue answer to give. But I said this to you earlier. I don't see mine as like work and then downtime.
Yeah.
To me, it's all play.
Yeah.
It's all play, and when I'm relaxing, I'm also working, and when I'm working, I'm also relaxing. In some way.
Who said that? Which entrepreneur?
I've actually just made that up. I don't know if anyone can find who said that. I'm pretty sure I just made that up.
Nice. Trademark that one.
But yeah, I do expect to be working more. I do expect to have bigger decisions to make. I would like to travel a bit more for work. So I don't know, maybe Fika somewhere abroad. Who knows? Who knows? I would love to do something in another country. I don't know if that will happen in the next 5 years, but I don't see why not.
No, move fast.
Yeah,
make moves.
Move fast. I think London's an interesting one because London at the moment I've only been there for a few months. I haven't found the right circle yet, so I expect to in the next 5 years that will definitely change. I'm hoping to meet a lot of other entrepreneurs, business people, ambitious people, but also not just like on the business side, but also on the creative side. So I'd love to meet more artists. Music is something I'm particularly interested in, so more people like that have got that creative element. So in summary, more business, bigger network, bigger responsibilities, more sons.
All the sons.
All
17 of them.
And that's about it, really. I'd really like it to be something where I've got quite a nailed down routine. And I'm just like working towards something and kind of in my flow. I don't really feel like I've got that yet. I kind of feel like I'm still darting about here and there. I'd like to be more aligned tunnel visioned.
Nice.
Routine.
Okay. What is one thing, can be as big or as small as you like, that you're currently putting off doing?
Probably some Fika admin. Probably all the Fika admin. All the Fika admin imaginable. I mean, there is just a ton of stuff that I have on my to-do list, which is all admin related.
The trouble is, I think with both of us, I like doing tasks that are not boring and that are like more things that aren't just like, okay, I need to do that, let me sit and do that and then tick it off.
Yeah.
I have so many of those tasks. Genuinely, if I sat down and just did all of them, it would probably take me about 3 hours to get through everything. If I actually just sat and did it. You just leave them
dragging along.
But like, I just never tick anything off from it because I'm like, and I think we also thrive off like the urgency of something. If I'm like, I have to do that by tomorrow, there is no other option but for me to do that. Whereas when it's something that I'm like, nothing really changes if I don't do it. If I do it, it'll make everything better.
Yeah.
But if I don't do it, it's not the end of the world. We struggle, I think.
I think the urgency is a big one.
Yeah.
I do think I've always been like that to an extent because I've always been a procrastinator. I've always been last minute.
Same.
But
exams
I do think
at school.
also exams at school.
Literally never used to revise until the night before. And I'd be like, right, but open these textbooks.
I don't know what this means.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think the urgency, but I think probably the cafe's made us even more like that because there was a period, although not for a long time, maybe because I don't deal with them right now, all of these urgent situations, but I think there was a time where every morning there's something urgent that urgently needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
And that was the case for a long time.
Yeah.
That almost you don't even think about the things that are further down on the to-do list. You're just kind of...
It was a treading water situation rather than a...
You're just trying not to drown
rather
than trying to, I don't know...
Become a better swimmer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great analogy.
I like it. I like who said that.
That was me. Or me. Yeah. Nice.
So, yeah.
Okay. What would you say is your biggest strength as a human being and biggest weakness? Weakness? I don't have any.
Don't have any. No weaknesses. I don't know. There's so many strengths to pick from. I think the way... I can't quantify this into a strength, but I can't say like the strength is X. I'll try and explain it.
Go on, explain it and maybe I'll come up with the word.
My mind is very structured, especially when it comes to business. And it's very... When it comes to business, a lot of things... There's a lot of stuff that I don't know, but a lot of things are very clear to me and come very naturally to me. So again, I'll use the athlete example. Some like running might come very naturally to someone.
Yeah.
And that someone will probably do better in the Olympics. Someone might be able to train to get to a similar level.
Yeah.
But there's certain people that it just comes naturally
Yeah.
to. I do think that the way that my mind works, without even having to go and read business books and try and understand certain things, the way that my intuition works is geared very well towards what I do. So to give an example of that, it's usually when a situation comes up and there's a problem, I immediately... There's very few things where I'm like, I have no idea how to deal with that. When it comes to figuring out what the next step is, again, a lot of those things are not obvious to me, but I know where to look and I know what the right direction is. Just the also operationally, like if something is a bit messy operationally, I know how to... It's obvious to me how to make it more efficient. If I see it a few times, I'll be able to look at it and say, okay, if we take this out, if we move this back in, if we do it like this, then that would work better. So I feel like having and I do think it's just the way my mind is structured. It just thinks in a very structured logical, structured way.
Yeah.
I'm less artistic for that reason. I wouldn't say I'm not creative, because I'm definitely creative in some ways. I'm not creative when it comes to playing the guitar, but
Yeah.
in some ways I'm creative. But
Yeah.
just that, having that like structured, knowing how to separate things out, how to
I think it's
how
like
to categorize
pragmatism.
things. Yeah, pragmatism.
it.
Yeah, pragmatic. I
Yeah.
would say I'm quite pragmatic.
Yeah.
The
And
strength. What did
entrepreneurial.
you say? Do you remember we had that video of like
Yeah.
three strengths?
One
I
of them
forgot what-
was pragmatic.
pragmatism.
And then I can't remember what the other two were. Yeah, can't remember. And what about weakness?
Weakness is the ability to do admin tasks. The ability to, I would say if there was one thing that I would say I am is not where I would like it to be, it's probably my level of discipline around things like that, around things that I don't want to do.
What about your chaotic nature at times?
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell a story.
Go on.
Not a story, but...
Tell us
Oh,
tell us who
okay.
was 10 minutes late to our meeting today.
You. There's no need
Let's
to
start with
come for me.
that. Let's start with
No
that.
need to
We're
come
getting
for me.
personal.
No, not chaotic.
No, tell a story. Tell us.
Your disorganisation
Tell us.
when
I'm
there's
interested.
when there's no urgency for you to be organised.
Yeah.
I
Out the
have
window.
planned tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. a joint PT session for myself and Ivo. And it's going to be filmed,
Yeah.
and it's going to be on Fika Brunch and Business. We're going to do a high rock session.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken all the work out of this for him,
Yes, I can't deny that.
and all I did was I messaged him. And I said, "This is the time. This is the date. All you have to do is show up. That's all you have to do, and confirm whether this works for you." And then he arrives, and he asks me what kind of session we're doing because he hasn't brought his trainers with him. I told him a week ago that we were doing
They're
this.
firmly in my cupboard in London.
Yeah. So he's going to be doing the session. He's not getting out of the session.
No, I'm doing a session.
So he's going to be doing it in his Converse.
This is the thing with me though. No trainer's fine. I'll just do it barefoot.
Okay, Liver King.
I'll just do it barefoot. I
Like
feel
your
more grounded
ancestors.
anyway. My ancestors were running across fields.
You'll
And
be doing a
rocks.
sled push.
And I'll be doing a sled push in a nice
Barefoot.
cozy gym. Oh, who needs trainers? Probably you. I think you should do it without trainers as well.
Yeah, let's start a new thing. High rocks, barefoot high rocks.
Yeah.
We'll do our own thing.
I think the chaoticness is definitely something that if I wanted to, I could turn off. It's
You don't
I
have
can
the
be
urgency
very chaotic if it's something that I know is not like crazy important.
Yeah.
If it's something that's really important,
Yeah.
really, really important,
Yeah.
you best believe I'll be there on time. I'll have everything
Yeah.
planned out. I'll have everything
That
we
is
need.
true, I'll give you that.
But yeah, if it's something relatively small,
Yeah.
then yeah, I can be very disorganized. Very disorganized. But yeah, I would agree. So those are probably two things: the discipline around doing tasks that I don't necessarily
Boring
find
tasks.
crazy exciting,
Yeah.
and B, just being more organized around things that are not as important.
Okay. We're going to end on a big question. Big question. We're going to end with a bang.
Go on.
Who's a big role model or mentor of yours that you look up to and feel inspired by?
So I have a lot, but there's a lot of YouTubers that I watch that are specifically entrepreneurs, and I've given the example of Ben Francis before,
Yeah.
and people that are documenting their journey. I've definitely learnt a lot from people like that. But if I think about the person that has had the most impact on my mentality and the way that I see the world, and the reason I do most of the things I do today, is probably Dad.
Aww.
It's probably Dad.
Shout out Ruben.
Shout out Ruben.
Both Ruben and Paulina have had some
Yeah.
shout outs today.
Had some love today.
Don't
And
know.
our uncle and granddad.
Wow.
Everyone's getting a
Done
shout
a great job, everyone.
out. Yeah, but I remember, and I mean, you'll know this. He's not one to sit you down and be like, right, this is the way that you should do this, and this is the way. He'll kind of just go about his life, and I feel like I learned a lot just watching about just like paying attention.
Yeah.
To how he did things and how he approached life.
Yeah.
And I think my slightly more entrepreneurial spirit comes from that, because I wouldn't like, our parents didn't really follow a traditional path of like get a job and stay in the city that you were born in and whatever. So just kind of watching his approach with that, watching his approach to money and finances was definitely where I get a lot of my ideas from, definitely what allowed me to get to where I am today. And yeah, there's not a lot more to say on that, really.
Yeah.
Just paying attention to how he did things.
Yeah.
I just learned a lot through that way.
I think there's a big point there to make about leading by example.
Yeah, from the trenches.
From the trenches. Because again, like you said, it's not like there was ever a conversation to be had of like, this is how it's done. And, and also, it was maybe a bit more, not tough love, but like in that same vein, there was never a conversation of like, I'm really proud of you and you've done this really well. Like it's all quite pragmatic and practical, like life stuff.
Yeah.
And that's probably had a much bigger influence on you than if he had sat you down and been like, okay, this is how I do this and this is how I do this. Whereas just watching...
Because I probably wouldn't have paid attention then.
No.
I probably would have been like, yeah, cool, whatever.
Yeah. Whereas watching from the sidelines and having that as a role model as you grow up, powerful stuff.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah.
I think you've got to lead by example, and there's lots of people that tell you to do stuff in a certain way that don't do that thing themselves.
Yeah. And you just have no respect for them.
Yeah.
The people you respect most are the people who do it themselves and who have done it and have done it well. Mm-hmm. And you think, I want to be like you. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to be like you.
Yeah. Go on, end us on a rap. Oh no, wait, that's my job.
That's your job.
I think that's
a wrap.
Yeah. All questions covered, answered. Hopefully you all feel like you've learnt a bit more about Ivo. Know what
I know more
drives
about myself.
him. Yeah, I feel like I've learnt a lot about you. I didn't know some of the stuff.
Did you not?
No, some of it was quite lovely.
Yeah, nice.
Well done.
Good to hear. Hope you all enjoyed
You've been
it.
a great guest.
Do you have any other questions, any other points, any other comments?
No. I think that's everything from me.
We'll
Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll be back.
We'll see you at Pizza de Mario's after this.
Yeah, and more pressingly next week.
Next week.
We'll be back.
See you next week. We will be back. We're more consistent with it. We're on top of our game now.
Yeah, we figured it out.
See you then.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Nice. Nice.